Welcome back to SecretSpool's Twisted Tale Wednesday. I'm Cody, and tonight's story is one of those eerie encounters that doesn't shout or startle, but instead settles slowly into the part of your mind that notices the details you can't explain. This is a story about an ordinary autumn afternoon, a stranger who shouldn't have known anything about the person he was speaking to, and a warning delivered with the calm certainty of someone who'd lived the moment countless times before. If you're listening alone, or carving pumpkins tonight, maybe keep an eye on the street, because sometimes the people who stop to talk aren't strangers at all, and sometimes the past has a way of looping right back to your front door. Let's begin. Before anything else, I need to say this. I still don't know who this man is. I've searched online, checked local records, asked around town, nothing. No name, no address, no connections. It's as if he stepped into my life and then immediately stepped back out of existence. What happened began last Friday while I was outside preparing pumpkins for Halloween, enjoying a quiet afternoon that felt like a break from the rest of the world. Completely unaware that my sense of normal was about to be dismantled in a matter of minutes. I'd bought 12 pumpkins, more than I realistically needed, but carving them felt therapeutic. There's something calming about turning a messy pile of seeds and pulp into something deliberate and expressive. My hands were coated with orange strands and slick pumpkin guts when I first noticed the man walking down the street. Tall, broad, wearing flannel and overalls, with a straw hat that looked like it had survived decades of sun. He seemed like someone who should have been leaning on a fence post outside a farm, not strolling down a quiet suburban road. He slowed as he neared my house, then stopped directly in front of it. He didn't wave or greet me, he just stood there as if studying something about the scene, something he expected to find. The air felt noticeably still, as though even the leaves hesitated. I gave a friendly wave out of habit because he didn't seem dangerous, just strangely focused. He waved back, slow and almost ceremonial, yet still didn't leave. Something about the stillness made the moment feel slightly rehearsed, though I couldn't have explained why. "Can I help you?" I finally called out. He tilted his head at me, as if he were evaluating my tone, not my words, and murmured, "You always say that." The comment wasn't just odd, it felt misplaced, like a response meant for a different version of me. When I asked what he meant, he dismissed it with a soft, "Never mind." But the tension created by those 4 casual words lingered in my chest. I tried pushing the discomfort aside and returned to my sketches, though my hands felt less steady now. A few minutes later, the hair on the back of my neck prickled with the unmistakable sense of someone standing too close. I turned, and there he was, walking up my driveway, moving with a slow confidence that suggested he already knew I wouldn't stop him. "Do you mind if I help?" he asked, as though we'd done this before. Something about the question felt strangely weighted, but I had too many pumpkins and not enough excuses, so I told him he could carve one. The decision felt harmless in the moment, though I would replay it again and again later. He selected a pumpkin with surprising care, turning it in his hands like he was searching for a familiar landmark. When he began carving, it was immediately clear he was skilled, expert even. The way he guided the knife, the tiny adjustments, the precision of each cut didn't match someone casually carving for fun. Within minutes, he had created a scene so detailed it looked almost impossible. I complimented the work, but instead of pride, his smile carried something heavy, like nostalgia mixed with regret. "You're a good man, Cody," he said thoughtfully, as if reciting a line from a memory. Hearing my name knocked the breath out of me. I hadn't introduced myself, hadn't mentioned my family, hadn't given him anything to work with. Yet he continued speaking with gentle certainty. "Your dogs, Brat and Taco, they're probably inside right now wondering where you are." Each detail landed with surgical precision. He went on to mention my wife, Emily, and said she'd be telling me today that she was expecting. His voice wasn't excited or playful. It carried the tired softness of someone who'd said it hundreds of times and still hated having to be the one to say it. At first, I tried to laugh, because humor is sometimes the only shield we have when the world tilts sideways. I told myself he must have been a co-worker of Emily's, or someone from her church group, or even a distant acquaintance who'd done an unsettlingly deep dive online. But then he added, "And tonight there will be an attack on the California coast." His eyes didn't widen for emphasis. He didn't lower his voice for dramatic effect. He just stated it plainly, like he was pointing out the weather. "You're making me uncomfortable," I told him finally. "I think I'll finish the pumpkins alone." He winced, not in offense, but in disappointment, like he had messed up something crucial. "I rush it every time," he muttered in disgust. "Please, just let me explain." "Over coffee?" I don't know why I agreed. Maybe it was the sadness in his voice, maybe curiosity, maybe instinct. Whatever the reason, I brought him a steaming cup, the rising vapor mixing with the cold autumn air as we sat there on the porch, two strangers pretending this moment wasn't impossibly strange. He wrapped his hands around the cup, as if grounding himself in its warmth. "This keeps happening," he said quietly. "I keep having this same conversation, hoping I'll have more time before everything slips away again." Then he added, almost gently, "I died in 2051, 99 years old. Long life. Hard life. I was ready, but instead of passing on, I opened my eyes and I was a newborn again. Same hospital, same mother, same world." The way he described it carried a haunting clarity, like someone recalling a familiar path home. He explained that he wasn't reincarnated, but reborn into the exact same life, carrying every memory with him. Each attempt he made to change things led to consequences he hadn't expected, disasters unfolding differently but often worse. "It's like a house of cards," he said. "You think removing one piece will help, but the whole structure falls in a new direction." As he talked, I realized the exhaustion in his face wasn't physical. It was the kind you develop only from living too much for too long. I still didn't fully believe him, not until he said, "You're about to check your pocket. You always do. Sometimes it's the coins, sometimes the keys." My hand froze around the familiar clicker on my keychain. He sighed, not triumphantly, but sadly, and added, "Your daughter, the one you lost. You were going to name her Robin." He said her name with so much quiet respect that it pierced right through every rational explanation I was holding on to. In that moment, my disbelief didn't disappear, but it shifted, made room for something else. Fear. "What are you?" I whispered. He didn't hesitate. "Lost," he said, "but I know what's coming." He resumed carving another pumpkin, as though the act helped steady him. "Tonight, in 6 hours, there will be an attack on the California coast. You'll hear about it before midnight." His certainty made my skin prickle. When I asked what would happen afterward, he paused long enough that the silence felt like its own warning. "A war," he finally said. "A fast one, devastating. Leaders won't back down, people will suffer. Then ordinary citizens will rise up and demand peace, but the damage to the world, it won't be undone." He described the environment degrading, oceans blackening, skies thickening, air becoming difficult to breathe. "By the time I reached the nursing home," he added, voice shaking, "the sky looked wrong, the world sounded wrong. Then everything went dark, and I woke up at the beginning again." I asked why he was telling me any of this. He gave a small, weary smile. "Why not? Maybe someone needs to be ready. Maybe that's why I keep coming back." He dusted off his hands, set the half-finished pumpkin aside, and began walking down the street with a strange sense of finality. He didn't look back. In seconds, he was gone, swallowed by the dimming evening light as if he'd never been there. I tried to find him afterward, online, around town, through every resource I could think of, but nothing. And now, as I write this, news alerts are breaking across the TV exactly as he predicted. Images of the coast, frantic, reporters, rising panic online. The president is scheduled to speak in minutes. Before tonight, I would have said he was a confused man with a talent for guessing, but now I know he was telling the truth, and whatever comes next is already beginning. Thanks for joining me for tonight's Twisted Tale Wednesday. Stories like this remind us that certainty is fragile, and that sometimes the eeriest warnings come from the calmest voices. If this one left you uneasy or thoughtful, be sure to like the video, subscribe to SecretSpool, and share your theories in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, keep your lights low, your doors locked, and your instincts sharp. Good night.